Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. The past human emperors nodded, sharing the same feeling. Even though every human emperor looked like they deserved a beating in the eyes of their masters, it was the first time they had met such a human emperor that deserved to be beaten by all of them. The past human emperors were all top-notch practitioners of their generations. It wasn't status that had commanded respect from other sects, but their abilities which were strong enough, sweeping away everyone in their age and rarely finding a worthy match. Any human emperor which hadn't fought a few rounds with the gods of high heavens would be too embarrassed to meet their ancestors after dying. Yet how many people were like this in a generation? Yet, Qin Mu, against overbearing strong practitioners like them, actually said he was afraid of injuring them. He even said that their techniques and divine arts had already fallen behind times, so how could they endure? Third ancestor came closer while saying indifferently, all the past human emperors are very haughty, and every one of them is overflowing with haughtiness after death, wanting to beat this and that. However, you are still the first one to say we are behind times. Human Emperor Qin, how remarkable. Disciple beating master is also common. For example me, I have beaten the old geezer before. However, to beat all the old geezers, human Emperor Qin's voice is not small. I would like to see if you actually have this ability. Fourth ancestor said indifferently. Third ancestor gave him a dark look. Second ancestor's expression was imposing as he said, human Emperor Qin is a living person, so how we fight is also another problem. However, first ancestor has a treasure that should still be around here. It's called Between Life and Death, and it can situate us between life and death, which would be the most suitable to exchange blows. The past human emperors all frowned. First ancestor is not here, so who can use Between Life and Death? Second ancestor smiled and said, as the disciple of first ancestor, I'm the owner of Sacred Hall of Five Young when he's not around, so I can naturally use it. Be quiet, I'm very familiar with this place, even more familiar than with my own home. Wait for me, let me fetch Between Life and Death. Everyone was slightly curious. They had heard of Between Life and Death but never seen this treasure before. They had heard that it was because first ancestor missed his wife that he crafted it to create a passage to Yudu so he could meet her there. However, his treasure didn't have much use or power, so people that crafted these kinds of items were few in numbers. Yet using Between Life and Death for living people and dead people to fight couldn't be any more clever. Not much later, second ancestor came back, and everyone saw that his hands were empty. They couldn't help being bewildered and asked suspiciously, second ancestor, where is Between Life and Death? This is Between Life and Death. Second ancestor's sleeves trembled, and a long river flew out from his sleeves. The huge river flew out of Sacred Hall of Five Young, becoming wider and wider. It stretched across several hundred miles and floated in the sky above Fengdu City. Everyone hurriedly walked out of Sacred Hall of Five Young where they saw a long river floating in the sky. It even had a flying bridge hanging above it. In the river, there was also a decorated pleasure boat that was berthed under the bridge. Everyone cheered and exclaimed, to meet with wife, first ancestor actually exhausted immense magic power to craft this treasure. Go, let's go up to the bridge. Qin Mu also followed them up. The moment they stepped on the bridge, something strange suddenly happened. He actually saw flesh and blood growing on his body. Upon coming to the living realm of the dead were revived and the living were changed into skeletons. Yet the river and the bridge could actually allow him to recover his flesh and blood. It was truly strange. The past human emperors stood on the bridge, but they didn't shed their flesh and blood too. They still had complete corporeal bodies. From that, it was evident that this was the marvelous ability of Between Life and Death. When I controlled Moon Ship to become Moon Guardian, I had to withstand the suppression of the living realm of the dead while keeping a body of flesh and blood. Looks like first ancestor's abilities are definitely much stronger than those of Moon Guardian. Qin Mu exclaimed in admiration in his head. First ancestor human emperor's abilities were profound mysteries. He was no doubt an outstanding talent of founding emperor era. However, this Between Life and Death isn't useless, instead, it's an effective implement. He blinked, and his heart pounded. He immediately thought of the greatest use of between life and death, which allowed Fengju to interfere with the world of the living, to interfere with reality. Between life and death could interfere with the world of the living and allow the gods of Fengju to descend on the world of the living. Even though the surface of the river wasn't huge, it was still extraordinary. Thinking about it, the gods and devils of Fengju were in tens of thousands. If they descended on the mortal world, who could be a match for them? If between life and death was used properly, it's an immensely powerful weapon. Qin Mu stood on the head of the bridge and looked at the river flowing toward Yudu. He could faintly see its darkness on the other side. The river was extremely wonderful, and it was obvious that it wasn't ordinary in any way. In Fengju City, countless gods and devils raised their heads to look at the huge river floating in the sky. It was gently floating and looked extremely elegant. Those human emperors again. The god lowered his head to look away. He then spoke to everyone in the surroundings. Ever since these fellows came to Fengju, more and more of them showed up, and they are becoming more and more arrogant. They are a force of our Fengju, but I'm afraid only those devils could be a match for them. No need to look, disperse, let them forget themselves in their fight. First Ancestor met his wife by sending this pleasure boat into Yudu to guide the souls of his wife out. They would then meet on the bridge. On the bridge between life and death, Second Ancestor's face dimmed. After the incident of their meetings being discovered by Yudu, the soul of Master's wife was taken away by the messengers of death. First Ancestor actually didn't know about this and still stood on the bridge to wait for her, but he didn't see nor hear her for dozens of years. At that time, I had stood beside the river and seen him growing older day by day. Let's not talk about this. He roused his spirit and looked at Qin Mu. He chuckled and said with a smile, "There's still an overlord body here that says we are all behind times. It's time to let a younger generation know the immensity of heaven and earth." Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. This is Xing'an, the saint before Imperial Preceptor. Qin Mu roughly introduced Xing'an to everyone. They were nervous, especially those of the girls. Cai Yinxiang, Hu Linge, and Ling Yuxiu had seen Xing'an before and knew how powerful and terrifying he was. They had seen him in the battle at Granny Sai's Manor, the place where Heavenly Saint Academy now stood. Half of the experts in the world were injured by Xing'an, including Emperor Yang Feng. He had beaten all those experts into acceptance, and even with so many of them around, no one could handle Xing'an. In the end, they still had to rely on Qin Mu's dose of supplement to force Xing'an to have no choice but to retreat. And now, this murderer was sitting right beside them, so it was impossible for them to not be nervous. Even though Imperial College had gathered all the strongest existences in eternal peace, and there were even a couple who had patched their divine bridges among the first-ranking high officials, Xing'an was still the strongest existence in the world. If he wanted to kill them, no one could stop him, not even the gods in Imperial College. Qin Mu smiled. As a saint that appears once every 500 years, Xing'an is a senior, and it's a good thing that he wants to know more about our Heaven Alliance. Everyone, there's no need to be nervous. Even though he said so, Qin Mu's face was deathly white. It was obvious that he was also extremely nervous. Xing'an's target was obviously him. As the strongest practitioner of the previous generation, Xing'an had his own way of doing things, and he would never lay hands on the younger generation. Even if he wanted to, he would wait for them to grow up and reach the god realm in a certain aspect before making his move to take that body part. But Qin Mu was an exception, for he had offended him too many a time. First, it was the battle at Heavenly Saint Academy where he used a supplement to make him experience fleeing in defeat while being chased by Butcher. Xing'an had been forced to escape to Great Ruins and spend a very long time to heal his injuries. Second, quite a number of pieces from his collection had been snatched away by Qin Mu, and it was the most annoying part. Afterward, it was the battle at Little Thunderclap Monastery where Qin Mu had actually stolen his whole chest and seized all his property. If that wasn't enough, Qin Mu had even brought him to Fengju and made him lose face under the influence of the living realm of the dead. He almost couldn't return alive. All of that had naturally counted on Qin Mu's head. It was already beyond expectations that he didn't kill Qin Mu without saying a word. One had to really admire his attainments in the frame of mind for being able to maintain his elegance even after meeting Qin Mu. The tryptophan dew had crumbled his Tao heart, and his frame of mind was still very weak, but even so, it still surpassed those of many of the people present. Qin Mu, Wang Muren, Xu Shenghua, and Tao Master Lin Xian explained everything together, describing how they had calculated the meteorological phenomenon and how thick the sky was. The surroundings of the bonfire were silent, and even Xing'an was speechless as he looked at it. The bonfire roasted the red dragon carp king until fish oil started to emanate and drip into the flames. The oil sizzled and a fragrance rose into the air, whetting their appetite. Minister Qin, are you here to severely punish them? Why have you started to eat here? You have the crime of lying to your ruler, off with you. Emperor Yangfeng walked over with a wine jar, his voice holding a hint of intoxication. But when he saw Xing'an opposite Qin Mu, he immediately sobered up and turned to leave. Xing'an looked at him indifferently. Emperor, it's best for you to sit down and talk, or else the lives of your Grand Chancellor and Princess will just go poof. Emperor Yangfeng, carrying the wine jar, braced himself to turn back. He then sat down beside the bonfire and forced out a smile. Brother Xing'an, you had left in a hurry the previous time and I had lain on the bed for almost 20 days. Xing'an's expression was calm. I lay for 4 months. Emperor Yangfeng handed the wine jar over to him, his gaze flickering. However, in these few days of not meeting, I have already crossed the divine bride and become a god. Brother Xing'an still has not yet reached this step, right? Xing'an took the wine jar and said, I have been laying low in floor of heavenly records and flipping through all kinds of classics, studying great divine physician Qin's space algebra model over and over again. Cultivating to God is no trouble for me, but I still require a year. He raised his head to drink the wine while Emperor Yangfeng stared at his throat. He wanted to attack, but he never found the chance. Qin Mu and the rest were astonished. Xing'an had been hiding in floor of heavenly records for the last couple days, but no one had noticed. This made cold sweat roll down their foreheads. Xing'an put down the wine jar and said, however, Your Majesty, cultivating to God realm or not isn't a problem to me. Even if you cultivated to God realm, you still aren't my opponent and just a fake god. Your cultivation is at most slightly denser than before, but you didn't make any advancement in your paths, skills, and divine arts. By calling your civil and military officials, Duke Wei, and Grand General of Heavenly Strategies over who've become gods, you would have a chance against me. However, Imperial College and your capital city would be finished. Veins popped out on Emperor Yanfeng's forehead before going away. He smiled and said, What were you guys talking about? Heaven Alliance, Xing'an said, they discovered that the sky is 100,000 miles high and 1,000 yards thick, so they formed Heaven Alliance. They plan to unravel the mystery and pierce apart this fake sky. Emperor Yangfeng scolded them with a smile. Fooling around, you are all children that like to create trouble. I also know about this incident as Hua Shanling had reported this to me. When I heard Heaven Alliance, I almost jumped in shock, thinking you guys were planning to overthrow me. When he finished saying that, he laughed loudly. His laughter didn't manage to travel far. Instead, it reverberated in the surroundings and caused the qi and blood of everyone around the bonfire to rise. Emperor Yangfeng was astonished and hurriedly stopped. He had planned to use his laughter to lure Grand General of Heavenly Strategies and the rest up, but he hadn't expected that even after cultivating to God realm, Xing'an's magic power would still surpass his by so much and be able to form a strange force field. His laughter was trapped in a small space, making it difficult for him to transmit any sound. His cultivation was incomparably dense, so his laughter alone had shaken Qin Mu and Ling Yuxiu until they puked blood. He thus had no choice but to stop. Xing'an took a glance at Ling Yuxiu and said, Emperor, don't be cocky so soon, for it's dark under some lamps. Your princess is a hero and is making friends, being the leader among the younger generation in various sects and clans. She will become a person who will be preeminent in the region. Heavenly Devil Cult Master, Tao Master, High Heavens, Little Jade Capital, Buddhism, all these future leaders are friends with her, and once her power is set, you will have no choice but to give up your position to her. You are only looking at the world, but you can't see her who's by your side. Emperor Yangfeng was unconcerned. Senior brother, forget about sowing discord between us father and daughter. Could senior brother Xing'an be interested in Heaven Alliance? Xing'an shook his head and said, I'm only interested in the sky being 1,000 yards thick and not Heaven Alliance. In that case, is senior brother Xing'an here to kill me? Qin Mu asked. Xing'an shook his head again. Originally, I had indeed wanted to kill great divine physician Qin, as I had suffered time and time again under your hand. My chest was stolen, my property seized, and I indeed hated you to the core. However, as I read the books in Floor of Heavenly Records, saw your Divine Bridges space algebra model, heard your lectures in Imperial College as you imparted your sword skills and even founded secrets of 3 primordial spirit assembly in just a few days, I suddenly had no more intention to kill you. Instead, I gained some respect for you. His gaze was snow bright, and his expression was calm. He stared straight at Qin Mu as he praised him. Everyone here is heroes, and the divine arts, paths, and skills founded in these few days surpass the advancement in divine arts, paths, and skills in the past few hundred years. I treasure all of your talent, so I'm leaving you guys alive. The world in the future will definitely be very interesting. I anticipate all of you to grow up well, and I'll hunt you then. This would be the most meaningful thing. The expressions of Xu Shenghua, Wang Muren, and the rest flickered. Wang Muren then said indifferently, Senior Xing'an views himself highly and treats us as his possessions, but under the same realm, you would only be inferior to us. Does Senior have the guts to fight us on the same realm? Xing'an's gaze was strange, but he shook his head. There's no need for that. You guys are not my match on the same realm. Among those of you here, maybe great divine physician Qin and Xu Shenghua of high heavens alone could be. Other than the two of them, the only other person who could match me on the same realm in eternal peace is none other than Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. Wang Muren's complexion turned snow white. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was the opponent he wanted to defeat and take revenge on for the death of his master. When he heard Xing'an saying that only 3 people could be a match for him, and Wang Muren was not among them, despair couldn't help growing in his heart. Qin Mu, on the other hand, was at ease. Even though Xing'an was weird and his character was unreasonable, he always kept his word, which was worthy of respect. When he said he wouldn't make a move, then as long as one didn't provoke him, he wouldn't make a move. His life was safe. Is senior brother Xing'an thinking of going to the sky to have a look? Qin Mu asked. My grandpa Butcher had once gone up, but he went there in a hurry, so he only took a glance at the numerous formations and gods. Senior brother, your body parts can never be taken back and have been lost in Fengdu. There is also nothing in the chest anymore. However, there are numerous gods in the sky, so you can go there to collect some limbs. Xing'an was unmoved. I'll have to go to the sky sooner or later, but I have not come for the heaven but a person. Heavenly Devil Cult, Tao Sect, Buddhism, Little Jade Capital, High Heavens, and even Eternal Peace Court, all of you have extremely great power, so you can help me find that person. He didn't let anyone have the chance to refute and continued. The person I want to find was born on the 8th of the 12th lunar month 17 years ago. It was first year of the 60-year cycle, 12th solar month, midnight. With everyone's abilities, especially those of the Emperor, it shouldn't be hard to investigate and pick out some people from this time, right? Once everyone agrees to do this for me, nobody will need to die. He smiled and tore himself some more fish, soaking it in the wine jar before sending it to his mouth. His expression was calm when he said, otherwise, it will be hard to say how many will survive in this capital city. I won't kill everyone here, but the lives of everyone else in Imperial College and the capital will have to depend on everyone's sincerity. Cold sweat rolled down Emperor Yanfeng's forehead, and he said, all right. I'll help you find everyone in this empire born at this time. After it's done, I wish for senior brother Xing'an to keep to himself for a period of time. Xing'an looked around and smiled slightly. Other than the Emperor, are the others not going to do their best? Qin Mu let out a shaky breath and said solemnly, Heavenly Saint Cult will also help senior brother Xing'an to find that person. Dao Master Lin Xian nodded and said, my Dao sect will be in charge of the territories under Dao sect. The devil ape also didn't keep quiet. Excellent. Xu Shenghua hesitated for a moment before saying, since West Earth has already been annexed into eternal peace, I can go back to high heavens and take a look. But if I will succeed or not, I can't really say. Xing'an clapped his hands and said with a smile, in that case, things will be much easier. Great Cult Master Qin, if you are free, why don't you stay by my side and nurse my body? Cold sweat ran down Qin Mu's forehead, and he immediately said, I still have things to do. I need to do a big business. Xing'an didn't mind that and kept on smiling. In that case, I can stay beside you too. Your Majesty, you can fall back now. Emperor Yangfeng rose in anger as his gaze flickered. Return my wine to me. Xing'an sat still with his hand clasping on the mouth of the wine jar. Emperor Yangfeng slowly stretched his palm out, but it was extremely difficult. Just a short distance took him the time of half an incense. Beside the bonfire, Qin Mu, Xu Shenghua, and the rest were silent as they stared at their palms. Xing'an's palm was extremely stable, and his arm clasping the wine jar didn't move at all. However, the arm that Emperor Yangfeng stretched out was gently shaking, his 5 fingers trembling non-stop. The impact of each vibration sent to Qin Mu and the rest was hard to describe. Every time his 5 fingers shook, it was equivalent to executing a divine art. The high concentration of his vital qi could be faintly seen transforming into incomparably fine flood dragons that were between the vein lines of his arm and palm. Under his skin, there seemed to be a true dragon coiling and concentrating power. However, its power wasn't always in a tyrannical state, but was tightening and slackening. What Emperor Yangfeng cultivated was 9 Dragons monarch technique that he had once imparted to Qin Mu. The youth had later comprehended another type of 9 Dragons monarch technique which he imparted to Ling Yuxiu that passed it to her father as well. Emperor Yangfeng was also a peerless talent. His 9 Dragons monarch technique wasn't any remarkable technique at first, but he had improved it continuously and developed its power to the extreme, making it extraordinary in the end. So much so that the technique could be a match for the 3 big sacred grounds. After receiving the technique from the true dragon's nest, he had erased all of his hidden flaws, and his divine treasures had become even stronger than before. The durability of his divine treasures had also received Xing'an's recognition as he felt that they had already reached the God realm. Now that he had crossed the divine bridge and stepped into the realm of God, his cultivation was also denser than before. When Qin Mu and Ling Yuxiu saw the power of the true dragon under his skin tightening and slackening in a regular pattern, their minds trembled violently, and they had many thoughts and realizations. The 9 Dragons monarch technique that Qin Mu had imparted to Ling Yuxiu wasn't the complete true dragon's technique since he hadn't managed to read all of the dragon race's writings. After the help of the brother and sister of Bai family, he learned the meaning of even more writings and took the technique to another level. However, after returning to eternal peace, he hadn't yet had the time to impart the more complete technique to Ling Yuxiu. For Emperor Yangfeng to cultivate to this step with just an incomplete technique, 9 Dragons monarch technique was truly inconceivable. He had cultivated as though he had the entire path. Yet even if Emperor Yangfeng's true dragon divine art entered the path, it was still difficult for him to move in front of Xing'an. Every inch was a challenge for him. Even though the transformations of all kinds of divine arts were hidden well by him, they were still inferior to Xing'an's palm that was steady as a mountain. Finally, Emperor Yangfeng grabbed the mouth of the jar, but Xing'an suddenly flicked a finger toward his palm. Emperor Yangfeng flicked a finger up as well, and their fingers collided. A slight breeze could be heard moving in the wine jar as though the motion raised by their fingers. At the mouth of the jar, the 2 fingers were quick as shadows, exchanging countless blows at a rapid speed. Catcher! Emperor Yangfeng's expression changed as his middle finger was broken. He endured the pain and released his palm with a smile on his face. He slowly fell back and said, since senior brother loves the wine so much, I shall gift it to him. Xing'an placed the wine jar down nonchalantly and said, my liquor tolerance is low and I'm already done. When the wine jar was placed down by him, Hu Ling's wine addiction was aroused, and she walked over to get a whiff of it. She said with a smile, since you guys don't want to drink, let me have a taste. Suddenly, she heard soft wind moving within the wine jar and looked into it. The wine was swirling inside as something seemed to be moving around in it and fighting. She moved her small head closer to the mouth of the jar to examine it in detail when someone suddenly caught her by her collar, lifting her up. Qin Mu pulled her back and placed her beside the bonfire. He shook his head and said, "Don't look, it's dangerous. If you want wine, I can get Yushio to bring a few jars for you. Young master, inside the jar is very terrifying." Qin Mu sneaked a glance at the surroundings and said quietly, "There are too many people here. I'll poke it later and show you. It'll definitely be magnificent." Hulinga couldn't contain her excitement and looked continuously at the wine jar. The wind within it became louder and louder, which only spiked her curiosity. She kept on raising her head, unable to wait. The fragrance from the wine jar also seemed to be getting thicker and thicker. Emperor Yangfeng returned to the banquet, and Grand General of Heavenly Strategies came forward to ask, "Your Majesty, is it time to make a move?" Emperor Yanfeng's brows raised slightly. "You sensed it?" Grand General of Heavenly Strategies nodded. "A very powerful person. Did Your Majesty clash with him? Let me call Duke Wei over." By the time he said that, Duke Wei had already appeared behind him and began speaking in a low voice. "When Your Majesty was making a move, Old Minister felt an abnormal motion from underground. Your divine arts had shaken the ley lines. That person had to be very strong, Your Majesty." Emperor Yangfeng shook his head. "Don't bother about it. The person was Xing'an, and he's temporarily not a threat." However, he hesitated for a moment. "It's going to be hard on Minister Qin, who is a truly loyal subject. To delay Xing'an, he was willing to keep that man by his side. Never did I expect for a heavenly devil cult master to be so heroic and courageous." He sighed repeatedly. Cult master said there's a big business. Sai Yunxiang asked while blinking at Qin Mu, "Can we get rich?" Hulinga was paying attention to the jar of wine from which she smelled a fragrance which made her crave it. However, when she heard the two words "get rich," her head didn't move, but her whole body did. She then slowly twisted her small head around. "Big business? Get rich? Young master, what business is it? My trip to Fengdu with senior brother Xing'an has given me a treasure called Between Life and Death. It can link Fengdu and the world of the living." Qin Mu took a glance at Xing'an. This expressions of this man who had always been calm changed drastically at that moment. It was obvious that he had recalled his humiliation in Fengdu. Qin Mu gave a slight smile and said, "The business I want to do is in the world of the living. There are numerous primordial spirits of gods and devils in Fengdu who may be dead, but who are still living well in Fengdu. Some of these gods and devils still haven't had their wishes fulfilled, but are stuck in Fengdu and unable to leave. Because of that, most of them would be willing to pay a big price for the people in the world of the living to do stuff for them. There are many things I have to do, so I don't have much time, which is why I want to use this treasure to open a path for divine arts practitioners of eternal peace to accept missions from the dead. This is a training and also cultivation. They could even get rich from it." He smiled and said leisurely, "The gods and devils of Fengdu can even impart techniques and divine arts to divine arts practitioners who had completed their wishes or pay them in Fengdu gold coins to enter Fengdu. What concerns me, I plan to take a travel fee from the divine arts practitioners that enter Between Life and Death to cover my expenses. Techniques and divine arts of gods and devils." The faces of everyone beside the bonfire changed in unison, and their hearts all shook. They didn't know what Fengdu gold coins were, but the techniques and divine arts of gods and devils were definitely something that moved their hearts. One had to know that great educational heavenly devil scriptures was a technique that could turn one into god or a devil, and this kind of technique was the Bible of heavenly devil cult. The Tao Sword of Tao sect and Rulai's Mahayana Sutra were also techniques that could turn one into a god or a Buddha, which was why they could become the big sacred grounds. Even if the techniques and divine arts of the gods and devils in Fengdu were inferior to those of the three big sacred grounds, they were still no small matter. Ever since Cult Master Qin established Divine Bridge's space algebra model and spread secrets of Magpie Bridge, secrets of Mysterious Guide, and secrets of Divine Crossing, the Divine Bridge is no longer the biggest obstruction to becoming a god, Long Yu said. Not having techniques of the god realm is the true obstruction. Truth be told, these few days, there were quite a number of old seniors that had come to Little Jade Capital to seek techniques, but what we have in my Little Jade Capital is at most of Divine Bridge realm. There are no techniques above them. Dao Master Lin Xian nodded and said, our Dao sect also doesn't have the God technique of Pre-Celestial Supreme Mystery Technique. These words from Cult Master Qin have moved my heart. The biggest problem for the strong practitioners in Eternal Peace Empire was that once the impassable path was paved, they didn't have any techniques they could cultivate and they didn't know how to continue. If Qin Mu could really use between life and death to link both worlds together and allow them to receive techniques of the realms beyond, it would be an immeasurable merit. It would be worth it no matter how much money he asked. Even Xing'an was slightly moved. However, thinking about how Fengdu suppressed him, he could only give up on that thought. These younger generations, if they can really receive the techniques after God realm, it'll be hard to tell if I'll be the one taking their body parts or if they'll be the ones dispersing my souls when the time comes. His gaze flickered, and at that moment, his murderousness had indeed awakened for a second. However, he was still a great master, so he suppressed it in no time. Cai Yunxiang and Hu Linger's breathing became heavy, and their eyes turned bright. The same thought appeared in both of their minds, we're getting rich. Our wealth will rival the empire's. Once between life and death is set up, even the emperor won't be able to resist taking a trip to Fengdu. Hu Linger raised her two furry ears and flicked them back and forth in excitement. Young master, how much should we charge the emperor? Cai Yunxiang also was filled with excitement. The old immortals of Little Jade Capital, the monks of Great Thunderclap Monastery, the old Taoists of Tao sects are all plump lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Monk Mingxin, Daoist Lin Xian, Wang Muren, and Ling Yuxiu's faces turned green. Before they could even say anything, Cai Yunxiang and Hu Linger looked each other in the eyes and remembered something at the same time. They asked in unison, young master, if we are collecting money from the world of the living, what about the world of the dead? We can also collect money there. Blinded by greed. You two are not generous at all. Leave some income for other people, Qin Mu said while shaking his head. I had handed the collection of money there to the past human emperors of Hall of Human Emperors. The income is theirs, so you can forget about it. Cai Yunxiang and Hu Linger were slightly disappointed. Hu Linger's tails that had stood straight moments ago drooped down. However, when she thought of how she was going to get rich, her tails went up once more. The sky started growing white, and the banquet was dispersed. Qin Mu waited for everyone on the mountain to go back before pulling Hu Linger to run a distance away from the wine jar. He then tossed a small stone inside it. The stone fell into the wine jar, but for a moment there was no reaction. Hu Linger grew suspicious. Young master, could you have been wrong? Qin Mu shook his head and turned to look at Xing'an who was beside him. Senior brother Xing'an, this jar is being suppressed by Mem, Xing'an said indifferently. If you want to release the power inside it, I can do as you wish. How many such jade mountains are there in your Imperial College? Don't release it. But by the time Qin Mu began saying that, Xing'an had already released his magic power and was looking at him with a strange smile. Great divine physician, I also hold grudges. Qin Mu felt his hair stand up on ends and pulled onto Hu Linger to run away. We can't stay in the capital anymore. The Emperor is definitely going to behead me. Let's go, now. There was a scribe-written account from the winter of the 17th year of the 60-year cycle. It described the event of the Jade Mountain of Imperial College sinking 50 yards as scarlet flames came out of its caves in a radius of 800 miles, which had been an abnormally beautiful sight. However, the scribe hadn't recorded the cause of the event. He only used sublime words with deep meaning to mention Heavenly Saint Academy's Grand Chancellor Qin neglecting his teachings and being punished by the Emperor to forfeit his salary of the next 2 years. His rank had also been dropped from 4th ranking to lower 5th. According to the people in the palace, it had been an early morning that day when the Emperor was alarmed by a loud explosion. He hurriedly flew to have a look and saw that the place of the explosion was Jade Dragon Lake. Countless red dragon carps in the lake were hit and floated on the water's surface. Jade Dragon Lake itself was several times larger than normal and several times deeper. The Emperor had then flown into a rage. According to the reports, there was an injury on the emperor's hand while he was shouting to behead someone. At that time, the emperor carried a knife while wandering around the mountain, but he couldn't find that someone. He only stumbled upon a sleeping dragon Qin and chest. He stood guard beside them, but when he still didn't see the person by the afternoon, he finally gave up. Rumors said that someone had escaped 1,000 miles away in the early morning, so when afternoon came, the dragon Qin who had woken up had to ride the chest for 2 days and 2 nights to catch up. There were other rumors saying that the emperor had gone to the army camp and loitered around Sunshot Divine Cannon for half a day before finally sighing. His merit is greater than his trouble, so his crime is not worthy of death yet. I should just demote him and take away his salary. After that, he put away his huge knife and turned to leave. Of course, these were all rumors and there was no way to verify them. The scribes of the imperial court would never record such things that had no basis. Over 10 days later, Qin Mu set up between life and death in Great Ruins Border Dragon City, and a long river stretched through the sky. Border Dragon City became a place connected to Fengdu, and it was extraordinarily bustling for a period of time. Border Dragon City was originally Qin family's property, and most of the shops in it belonged to Heavenly Saint cult. Eternal Peace would ship goods there to sell to Great Ruins, and Great Ruins goods would be sent through there to be sold to Eternal Peace. That city was the first station before entering Great Ruins, so the divine arts practitioners would usually choose it to settle down. After Qin Mu's arrival, the number of divine arts practitioners in Border Dragon City had multiplied, and the prices were skyrocketing. Cai Yunxiang and Hu Linga were so happy that they were beaming with joy. After a few days, an official of Ministry of Revenue came to Great Ruins wanting to collect tax and was attacked verbally by Qin Mu. He then went back to complain to Emperor Yangfeng, who didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Great Ruins is not part of Eternal Peace's territory, so him not killing you when you went to collect tax is already giving me face. According to the rules of their Great Ruins, you should have been beheaded. Don't create trouble, Great Ruins isn't our land. Your Majesty, Grand Chancellor Qin is earning money too fiercely. The trade and commerce in Border Dragon City is a huge business. Minister of Revenue protested. On top of that, Your Majesty has to pave roads which will connect West Earth and Eternal Peace, but they will have to pass through Border Dragon City. The 2 roads planned by Grand Chancellor Qin both have to pass through there. Border Dragon City will definitely become the first strategic town of Great Ruins, and its wealth will be leading in the world. This minister thinks that Grand Chancellor definitely has selfish motives, borrowing the imperial court's money to pave roads for his hometown. With a sense of helplessness, Emperor Yangfeng looked deeply into his eyes. He then said meaningfully, West Earth was conquered by him, saving us all the funds and provisions that would have been required for the troops. He also spared the countless soldiers from dying in the war. However, the divine arts practitioners that go to Border Dragon City are all people of my eternal peace. If they spend money there and can't be taxed, that place will become a country in a country, and our eternal peace's wealth will definitely be lost. If this continues, how dreadful would it be? Our eternal peace will have no money to use, the minister stated. Emperor Yangfeng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Daoist Yuan Feng, you are an algebra expert of Taoism, so how can you not understand? Minister of Revenue was puzzled. This small official is slow-witted. May your Majesty enlighten me. Emperor Yangfeng smiled at him. The divine arts practitioners that go to Border Dragon City use the great abundance coins of my eternal peace. If they want to spend the money, they still have to earn it in my eternal peace, so they will still have to return. Minister of Revenue frowned. But what if great abundance coins circulate in Great Ruins and don't return to eternal peace? Emperor Yangfeng smiled. If great abundance coins could replace gold, silver, and treasures that circulate in Great Ruins, that would be even more wonderful. Think, the Imperial Court is the one minting coins. With that, wouldn't the Imperial Court be in control of Great Ruins which couldn't mint its own coins? Wouldn't the Imperial Court then have a say in how much wealth Great Ruins have? When Great Abundance coins replace gold and silver, the Imperial Court will be able to use Great Abundance coins to buy mines and rivers. With Great Abundance coins everywhere, unifying Great Ruins would be just around the corner. Minister of Revenue was tongue-tied. Emperor Yangfeng threw his memorial and stood up to look outside with a deep gaze. To not spend a soldier and just great abundance coins to gain a rich land like Great Ruins, what a bargain are we getting for this deal? You are still too straightforward, thinking that the money flowing into Great Ruins is a bad thing. You don't know how to use money to unify the lands, which is the highest quality of invasion. This video will end here.